Okay, hi, it's Paul Green here from the business community, doing another one of our Spotlight on interviews where we delve a little bit into the business life of a small business owner. So today I'm joined by Mik Lewicki. Good morning, Mik.
Good morning, Paul.
So I'm just going to ask Mik a few questions, but before I do that, Mik, do you just want to introduce yourself and let people know who you are and what you do?
Of course. Mik Lewicki, I'm the head of business development for all things digital at TFA. So we do anything with regards to promoting your business, getting your business found, generating more customers and sales. So whether that's through SEO, social media, building a website, graphic design, we have a team of 20 people, 20 very talented marketeers who can help you with all manner of things for those aforementioned things.
Excellent. Okay. So I know from speaking to you previously and obviously knowing you that you retired when you were 26. I think you set up a business and retired from that. So it'd be interesting to know a little bit about that story and then also how you re-entered the marketing world again. So perhaps you could sort of like give us an insight into, your business journey, how you started the original company, how you sold it and what had you come back?
Of course. So yes, I think it was 2011 that I launched my first marketing agency. My previous job was very much I was essentially doing Excels, sat in front of an Excel spreadsheet day in, day out. I had a friend who's just a software genius, and with his help, over the space of a few months, we devised a piece of software that essentially automated my entire month's workload at a click of a button. So I was shortly redundant shortly after that. And by that point, I had met a chap called David, who was running a kind of a small web development business. And we had a handful of clients, and we teamed up it was working on this very specific project. And we thought, well, in the meantime, to kind of get this project running, we need to kind of have some cash flow coming in. So this marketing agency almost started by coincidence, because we kind of had his skill set of web development. We had my skill set of social media marketing and marketing general sales. So we launched our first marketing agency, and in the space of 4 years, it grew to serving a couple hundred clients around the UK, a couple of international clients. We peaked, I think, at 7 employees, so it kind of just propelled. At the time, Facebook for business and Twitter and social media for business was relatively new, so we were kind of very fortunate in helping business owners get started on social media and make social media effective for their business. That was kind of our core service, as well as the web development and marketing strategy. So we were very, very fortunate, and the business was booming, which was great. I got to a point where I was kind of working. I'm a little bit of a workaholic. I'll hold my hands up to that. I've got that from my dad. So I was working just ridiculous hours, kind of into the night, up early in the mornings, client calls left, right, and centre. And I just kind of needed to step back and take a breather. So we had a chat amongst ourselves, a decision that David would buy me out, and he took the business forward. I so retired and just of travel, enjoyment, leisure. Although when the first week, it was actually, when you think you sell a business, wonderful and phenomenal and incredible, that first week actually hit me really hard, because I went from kind of working I went from kind of full steam ahead to just nothing. So I kind of was just like, wow. Initially, it was a bit of a shock to the system to kind of not really have a lot on my plate. So initially, but then kind of as I kind of started planning trips and whatnot and got busy again with more leisure stuff rather than business stuff, the enjoyment kind of came out. So that's the story of the first marketing agency. I then did a bit of business development work and a bit of consultancy work. I think I did North Hertfordshire College were launching their commercial arm, Heart Learning. So I did business development for them, managed to get them deal with London Luton Airport. People heard I was working in, so I spent just over a year working at Sporting Targets, which is a corporate entertainment complex up in North Bedfordshire. The owner there I've known for many years, and he said, I just need more corporate events. So I spent I think it was around 12 to 8, I think it was around 18 months I spent with him. Managed to increase corporate event turnover by around 46%. I think 24% was down to my sales. The rest was down to kind of marketing activities we put in place. Then I did a bit of consultancy for a manufacturing firm, and then I partnered with a print company locally, and they wanted to launch a digital arm, so I helped them do that. During lockdown, kind of the business propelled and went forward. And it's almost like the full circle of life has come around, because I did some consultancy for TFA. Worked with the owner Darren about five or so years ago. Initially, after I sold my first marketing agency, and he kind of twisted my arm, persuaded, and said, why don't we join forces? You come over to TFA. And then it has kind of propelled me forward about 2 years, because the business I was building from scratch, Darren already has the infrastructure. You know, he's got 20 people, and it's I kind of was working very long hours, and it was so refreshing to kind of join a team of really wonderful people. And even in the first week, where people were saying, "Oh, that's for you," it was kind of like, wow, it was kind of a different world. So yeah, it's fantastic, and yeah, continuing to local businesses and businesses all around the country with their marketing.
Okay, are you still a workaholic, or have you managed that a little bit better nowadays?
Still working relatively long hours. I'm slowly trying to get to a point where, you know, I think Darren, I kind of look up to him for, especially when it comes to kind of time management, and kind of, he recently actually posted on LinkedIn saying, you know, working smarter rather than harder. It's not necessarily a case of, you know, putting in 16 hours a day. It's actually a case of, you know, let's find a way to find systems and things in place that we can reduce it. I still have a spreadsheet, a Google sheet, which currently has about 250 tasks that I kind of do.
Okay.
I kind of recently... Say again, sorry?
I said, wow, that's quite a lot.
Yes. So I've kind of recently watched a video about triage, how they do it in the medical profession. You know, patients, get onto them right away. Yellow patients, you know, make sure they're okay. Green patients, you know, they're nice to deal with. Black patients, you know, the ones that are kind of there's no hope for in terms of you know, medical rescue. Yeah, just kind of let them slide. So I've kind of been kind of prioritizing tasks better, and realizing what the critical elements are, and yeah, and not necessarily worrying when it gets to kind of like, you know, 6-7 in the evening, just saying, right, that's it for the day. You know, we'll have to. The world's not going to burn down if I don't do it. It'll just get done tomorrow morning. So I suppose I'm always learning, always developing, and that's kind of the latest in terms of, you know, not putting too much pressure on yourself to get 100 things done in a day.
Excellent. Makes sense. So what I ask people on these calls is, what's your why? What actually sort of like gets you out of bed in the morning? What's your sort of like driving force, would you say?
Cool. A very good question. And recently in the business community, we've been talking about values, and the core values that I have is fun. First and foremost, everything you do, you need to be having fun. So certainly I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't enjoy it. And I love kind of the thing that I really love about marketing is it's kind of diversity of various businesses. One day you're working with a florist, the other day it's a manufacturing firm, the other day it's a fintech company, the other, it could be public sector, could be the local government, it's just the diverse range of businesses, and kind of learning little tidbits about businesses is incredible. So I really enjoy that. And my second kind of core value is people. I love kind of networking, being around people, meeting people, hearing their stories. So I love just finding out people's stories about how they started this, how they got to where they are in their career, how they got to their position. There's just so many fascinating people that I kind of love to meet and talk to them about what their why is actually. And third and finally, it's the creativity. I love kind of working people's marketing strategy, business plan. I love getting how to give me a mundane service or product, like the dentist isn't necessarily exciting, but I once came up with an idea. Sadly, the client didn't go with this, but I came up with a concept of rewriting the words to react, shine bright diamonds, kind of to make it into like a promotional video for the dental practice. So I just love kind of, because we live in a day and age where there's just so much phenomenal, just the vast volumes of elements requiring our attention, messages, and there's now kind of there's WhatsApp, there's Signal, there's Telegram, there's normal messages, there's emails. It's just complete and utter overwhelm. So it's very much a case in this day and age to stand out from the crowd and be different and grab people's attention and get them to come to you and to your business, as opposed to because the choice out there is vast. So it's certainly kind of standing out and waving that flag that will attract people to come to you.
Yeah, so that leads on quite nicely. So that there are other digital agencies out there and companies offering sort of a similar service to you. What would you say distinguishes TFA from your competitors?
With TFA, it's all about the kind of the reputability and the T's. I know it's very easy to kind of get into marketing. Essentially, I've told people many times that kind of I'm always open to people joining the industry and having bringing their ideas and whatnot. And essentially, all you need to get started is a website and print off some business cards, and you can paint yourself to be a marketing guru or a social media expert or whatever you like. But the proof is very much in the pudding. With TFA, Darren's been running the business. Well, Darren's been in marketing. He's got at least a decade of experience on me. So he's got kind of 20 years of kind of that marketing knowledge, expertise, knowledge in so many different industries and businesses. We've got a team of 20. The recruitment process at TFA isn't something that's taken lightly. We make sure that people that come into the business know what they're talking about, know their stuff. Actually, the digital team I work with very closely are phenomenal in terms of I've learned so much from them just in the few months I've been there. So it's kind of it's that reputation, the expertise. The other thing we do is we make sure we ask why. So there's a lot of people that will kind of say, I want a website built, and that's fine. You can go out there and build a website, but actually dig deep into understanding why it is you want that website built. Whether what's the purpose of this, who you're trying to reach, what you're trying to achieve with this. And on a couple of occasions, in the majority of occasions, it's like, right, you need this purpose, let's get started. And the other benefit of TFA is, you've got a team of 20 people, so there's different specialisms. You've got like illustrators, graphic designers, copywriters, a web team of I think 7 people that kind of have different experts, know different languages, programming languages, coding. So you're essentially getting the best, the combination of best people to kind of got branding experts, the people that are best equipped and best qualified to put it all together for you. So you're kind of banking on that. So yeah, it's that expertise, the understanding, and generally we're a very friendly and amicable bunch, and yeah, we'll be. So yeah, that's essentially TFA in a nutshell.
Cool. And are there any particular industry sectors or target markets that you're looking to access? I know you mentioned quite a diverse range of clients that you've worked with historically, but is there anybody specifically, either size of company or type of company that, would be your sweet spot?
So our sweet spot is companies are relatively established and are turning over, I'd say around the £1 million plus mark. But we do work with small. We're not we're fairly priced for what we do. So we're not like extortionate and people will be like, oh gosh, I can never afford that. We'd be amenable to making projects work for people. So yeah, we do work with some on our website. t-f-a.co.uk. There's plenty of big names on there that we worked with.
Yeah.
But there's as many as there are big projects. We also work with SMEs and smaller businesses as well to help them out. So kind of like to be involved in the local community and help people out. In terms of industry sectors, again, because TFA have been going for over 10 years, I think it's coming up to 15 years now, that they've developed so many different. In fact, one of my first tasks when I joined was to. I've essentially got a Google sheet with all the projects we've done historically and which industry they're in. So I'm in the process of kind of devising specific kind of industry sector marketing pieces. And ones that I've identified that we're very strong at is things like engineering firms, the education sector, aviation. Surprisingly, that was a bit surprised to me. So there are plenty more, and they'll be appearing on the website in due course. But yeah, we're kind of, as I mentioned earlier, the diversity of the range of businesses is very appealing. And so sometimes I know some people say, you must have industry knowledge. For example, if you're in like financial firms, and we've worked with several financial insurance firms, but actually sometimes I wouldn't that as a complete necessity and a deal breaker, because sometimes you can be stuck in one industry, and someone that can come into that industry with a fresh pair of eyes and say, oh, have you thought about doing this? And can come up with a fresh look that will kind of completely transform the way you put a product or service into the market. So sometimes it's good to have that fresh pair of eyes, but is there as well to back up what we suggest.
No, I totally get that. I think sometimes, as you say, not having a knowledge of a particular industry, because that can sometimes be a blockage, can't it? Because if you know, it's seeing the wood from a tree sometimes, and if you're too encased in that particular industry, you don't think of maybe diverse things to do that work for other industry sectors. So no, I get that. So how do you work then? Do you come into a prospect and do like a marketing review, or what's the sort of process by which you gain clients?
It depends what the client requirements are. So the first and foremost is a case of understanding. So some things are very simple, and someone says, I fancy an animated email signature, which recently is popular, and that's kind of a very simple standard thing where essentially it's a very easy process. We kind of get the understanding of what the client wants to achieve through that. We have a very talented project manager, Hannah, who kind of looks after the entire process. The other thing, which going back to previous questions, sorry about TFA differs, is we don't actually have account managers. So we have like a core project manager, but the way TFA operate is as an extension to your team. So for example, if if you need someone to do like design, you go to design team. If you need someone to do SEO, you go to our digital team. If you need someone for an email campaign, you go to that specific person, rather than kind of going through an account manager, which, you know, things might cost in translation or take time, or the manager might find, you know, oh, you don't need that, why don't I sell you this instead? So you just go direct to the person that has the speciality you need, and you kind of, you know, get sorted there. And with going back to your original question, with bigger projects, yes, it's very much understanding what the requirements are, and putting together a plan, essentially, a proposal as to, you know, this is what we understand the requirements to be. This is all the third work that needs to take place in order to kind of get to a stage where we've got preparation, or there may be further understanding that needs to happen, and then identifying the key ingredients that can fulfill those objectives. So whether it's one thing which is very important in marketing is using the right channels and to reach your audience, targeted audience. So it's not a case of, you know, going wild and, you know, we'll do TikTok, we'll do Twitter, we'll do Facebook, we'll do YouTube, we'll have a website, we'll do a pay-per-click campaign. Yeah, we'll do everything, and things getting lost. So it's very much about a targeted approach and saying, right, this is what you're looking to achieve. This, you know, these are the 1, 2, or 3 things that are going to you there, rather than a wildfire approach, which isn't always the best thing.
No, absolutely. And I find when working with small businesses, they sort of dabble in marketing, you know, that they'll try various things, but normally without necessarily a strategy behind them. And also whatever they are trying, you know, the different channels, they're not really measuring it to sort of see how effective the marketing activity they're taking is. Because obviously, you know, if one particular channel's working, you potentially do more of that one, don't you? And if one isn't working, then you stop, you know, you stop doing that. What would your view be when you've experienced sort of like small businesses and their marketing activity?
That you're 100% spot on there, Paul. That's exactly the thing I found in the past, where it's this kind of like dabbling approach, and it often leads to a huge wastage in spend. It's so important to have a plan. And as exactly what you said, measure is often missed off people's marketing plans. So they say, oh, you know, we need to reach 1,000 people, we need to sell 1,000 bucks or sell 1,000 tickets, do a Facebook campaign, and it's all very much about you know, seeing impact. You know, you have, for example, 3 or 4 audiences, targeted audiences. You know, we're actually gaining the most traction, which one's the most cost effective to reach. It's so important to kind of be able to simply answer. If someone, you know, walked through your door today and said, how effective is your pay-per-click campaign, if you can't tell them all, you know, yeah, you know, we spent £500, and off the back of it we've had 7 leads, 3 of which have converted, which has generated £8,000 in business for us. If you can't define things in simple terms, and you say, oh, I don't know, I've spent £500 and we've had a few clicks, and, you know, I don't ask people when they phone, heard about that's where it kind of, you know, you see a lot of wastage. You don't know whether what you're spending is actually serving its purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. Which I guess is where you come in. If you're managing that process, you'll be in the outsourced marketing department, then you're managing all of that, aren't you, to see what the effectiveness is, I guess.
Indeed, yes. We do provide very when it comes to like pay-per-click or SEO, you often get very brief reports, or reports that are just kind of automatically populated or generated. Are the one thing I found incredible since joining TFA is that actually each report at the end of the month, and thankfully we've got enough resource and team to do this, but each report at the end of the month that we write for a client is kind of handwritten, is manually produced. It does a good 2 hours go to producing each report. So that, and then we have on top of that, we have a catch up with the client, to go through the report and answer any questions, explain what it means, because on so many occasions, this is how I've picked up quite a few clients where someone says, well, we've received it, but it actually means nothing to us. It's just like numbers on or some, a graph or a pie chart, but there's actually no explanation. It could be good, could be terrible. We don't know.
Yeah.
So it's not what the metrics mean. And
I guess it's a bit, in the finance world, it's a bit like, being given your balance sheet and your profit and loss account. And, whilst the numbers are on the paper, you're not quite sure exactly what that means or what action you have to take. So I think, interpreting the data is very important. So as we're recording this, we are still in a pandemic. We're hopefully sort of like coming out of it, and restrictions are easing. So certainly for the last 15 months, that's been the biggest challenge, I guess, that has faced most small businesses. Outside of that, in your business journey, what would you say is the biggest challenge that you've had to overcome?
Cool. What a great question. Still, over time, I think there are two things that have kind of been very valuable lessons. The first one is, and I kind of repeatedly make the mistake whenever you kind of go into business or kind of go into anything really. Have some kind of vision of the outcome, where you want it to go and how you want things to pan out, and and have even though it's the start, it's the inception of the business, have and it's the last thing you want to be thinking about, but do have an exit strategy in mind. What does your exit look like? And hopefully it won't be a case of I'm working 20 hours a day, I'm exhausted, I need to stop. Hopefully it will be right, there are people in place, and I can step back and work 1 day a week, or I will grow this business to a certain level and then we'll sell it. It's important just to from day one have that target in mind. What happens, have those contingency elements in place, and especially in partnerships and kind of people that you work with. You go in with the best will and intention, and but if you don't define things from day one, a year or two down the line, you kind of can lose that vision, and waters can get muddied in terms of like, oh, I thought that was your remit, or I thought that was your responsibility. So for one, it's important to iron out, who's responsible for what, and kind of make sure that things go swimmingly, and have them in writing eventually. And the other thing, I think it's especially with what I do, it's having a tough shell, because obviously I want everyone as customers, but there are many options out there. Some people will prefer something else. And I think you've got to be prepared for rejections, in terms, especially when you're selling or trying to prospect for customers. It's important just to and I think over time I've developed you put your best self forward, you put your best proposition forward. You hand on heart can say, this is the best thing I can offer for you, and it might not necessarily be the best match. So it's kind of just carrying and not letting, there are some deals that you get extremely hopeful about, and like, oh, really would love to work with this company or this individual, but that doesn't necessarily pan out. So it's a case of I don't know what the expression is, but pulling up your socks and cracking on with the next opportunity, rather than kind of dwelling on things that have lost out on.
Yeah, I think you've got to be tough in sales anyway, haven't you? Because you are going to get some knocks. You're not going to convert every single prospect as much as you'd love to, and you think you've got the best deal for them. It doesn't always work out that way, does it? No, you're absolutely right. So thanks for that. You've kindly agreed to share some of your knowledge and do a little solo slot for us. So if I just pop you into solo now, and you can educate us a little bit. So the floor is yours, Mik.
Cool. So a lot of actually we've covered it in the questions of what I had intended to talk about, but I kind of wanted to give an overview as to the journey of kind of launching a business or setting something up. And first and foremost, it's so good to have a plan in place. There is the question of whether, you know, planning versus doing. So you spend years planning and never actually doing something, but it's so important. Like, for example, if you have a fee, it's worth measuring, you know, how much you've achieved, where there's nothing scheduled and you just kind of go for a free fall, see how much you achieve, and see how much more you can achieve when you actually, you know, slot things in and say, right, you know, here's what I intend to do, here's the plan, here's the people I'm going to speak to, here's how I'm going to do it, etc. So it's so important to have that plan, have that vision of where you want your business to go, and have that vision. It's so important to, you know, imagine yourself in 5-10 years time. You know, are you still going to be in this business? Or are you going to sell it? Are you going to retire? Are you going to, you know, employ people to do your job and then kind of, you know, come in once a day, once a week, or etc. etc. So it's so important to have that vision in mind. And as I mentioned earlier, the exit strategy to, you know, exactly what I just said, you know, whether you're going to retire, come in one day a week, sell the business, or kind of, it's so important to have that plan in mind. And then the other thing which is fundamental is if not to make the business you dependent. It's so important to a lot of business owners make the mistake of the entire business model relying upon them. So if something was to ever happen to them, that the business kind of collapses around them. So it's important to put processes and measures in place that literally anyone can come in and pick up a manual and be like, oh, right, you know, this is how I do this section of business. This is how I do this element. This is how I produce this product, or this is how I deliver this service. And of course, you can still have, you know, your face, your personality, or your individualities can still be kind of, you know, part of the business, and you can kind of, you know, put them into processes that people can pick up and do carry out those philosophies that you yourself have. But it's so important not to have this is where I see a lot of businesses collapsing, because it's based on entirely one individual and that one individual's relationship with customers. I'm not saying that that's not important at all, but it's important that anyone can pick up the job or service or product that you produce, to be able to deliver it, to give you that respite and be able to kind of afford you the time to step down, have a holiday, enjoy time with family, etc., etc. So yes, plan a business not as a part of you, but as a separate part of you. You know, you can walk in and walk out of. The other thing that's really important is devising your separate entity, your business. Have define what that business is. You know, it's essentially the brand. You know, what's the tone of voice, what's the message, what is the personality of this business, how does this business engage with the local community. Important to set that out, have the objectives in place. You know, what do you want to achieve from this business, going back to the vision, whether it's, you know, £1 million, whether it's buying a castle, whether it's you know, creating jobs for the local community and, you know, employing 30 people. Have those objectives in mind, and then breaking them down into what you do on a smaller scale. So you've got those core elements, including this is where a lot of businesses forget what's important. Knowing your audience. So many times when I say ask customers, so what's your target market, what's your audience, they say, oh, everyone. Which is not the correct answer. Everyone is not your customer, because, for example, you know, you can say a water company. You can say, oh, everyone needs water. Actually, it could be homeowners, or if you're talking about bottled water, it could be, you know, sports people or people on the go. So it's very important to have know your audience rather than just saying everyone, and that way you can make your marketing so much more effective. Knowing your competitors, you may have something very niche, unique that no one has thought of before. But do your research, know your marketplace, know potential threats, opportunities in the market, and find competitors that may not necessarily be doing exactly what you're doing, but similar to what you're doing, or there might be people that are directly competing with you. So those core elements are fundamental before you do any marketing whatsoever. So when you do get around to doing your marketing, do it properly. Have a plan in place based on those objectives, on those elements, and that way you can define which audience is most important to you, where your customers are, what's the best way to reach them. Essentially, the marketing M. I check the marketing M's. There seems to be more of them. For me, the three fundamental ones are obviously message, how you approach the people, media, on which channels, and not all channels will be for all audiences. So find the ones that are relevant for your audience, and the market. So knowing your essentially your product, where it stands, how you want to be perceived in the marketplace, your service, your product. Is it high end? Is it luxury? Is it consumer? Essentially, have that definition of your business. And what we were speaking about earlier, the fourth fundamental M for me in the marketing mix is measure. Measure what you're doing. Know exactly the outcomes of your efforts. So start from, for example, with prospecting. Know how many phone calls you made or how many emails you've sent. How many of those have delivered? How many conversations have you had? Off the back of those, how many people have continued the conversation? And it's kind of building that sales funnel and having that measure in place as to what you're spending on SEO or PPC, whether it's having the results you expect to see. And if you want the mother of all M's, the joker card of the marketing mix, the fifth marketing M is Mik, should you wish to kind of ace your marketing. And finally, or penultimately, I've got a few C's as well, which are often missed within a marketing plan. So conversion. How do you intend, once you've got a customer interested, what's your close? How do you convert them into a customer? So that's something that is often missed. They've got people interested in their product service, and they're missing that key question or key step in the process to kind of get them to become a client, actually engage in their product or service. Collaboration as well. There's other businesses out there, could be people that are in a similar field to you, and I very much am not at all closed to kind of having chats with other marketing agencies, other marketers, and often it does lead to joint projects, collaboration, sharing ideas, sharing knowledge. I think that's very, very healthy to do, rather than kind of saying, oh no, they're competition, I'll kind of never talk to them or avoid them or hate on what they're doing. It's a case of being very friendly, and I think it's good to have that challenge there of other people in the market, and customer care, following up. So not necessarily leaving people abandoned. This is where a lot of companies go wrong, that I've noticed, where you engage a customer, they brought into your product or service, and then kind of they stagnate, and you kind of leave them there. Oh, they'll be fine. But actually, depending on the product service, it's good to check in, follow up. There may be actually your existing client base is a gold mine of there may be other things that you can work with them on. There may be people that they know that you've achieved wonderful things for, and it's just a case of asking and saying, do you know anyone else from it? And you may be surprised that question is so many times missed. And sometimes when you ask that question, you may find out that they've actually got 5 friends who are also business owners and also require this particular service or product. So it's very much having that process in place of how are you going to look at the customer going forward, not just abandoning them after the sale is made. And finally, the value. Yes, you can have a logo made for £20 on Freelancer or whatever those websites are. But it's important to kind of essentially investing in your business. You're investing in yourself and that business and its longevity. So you can probably get a website built for a couple £100, but is it going to have those core elements that you need in order for your business or your website to last a long time? Are you going to have that expertise in there to guide you on branding, on the message, on the language used, on the imagery, on how it looks, how the user experience goes. So it's so important to not necessarily I guess it's like like buying cars. You can but essentially if you pay more for the engineering of I don't know, I'm a fan of German engineering essentially. So if you kind of pay a little bit more, you're getting that that durability, that longevity. Mechanically, it's not going to go wrong, and it's been it's you can completely and entirely trust what you've got, and I think it's important to, especially in the world of marketing research, do your due diligence. And going for like the most cheapest option in the market isn't necessarily the safest in terms of looking at your brand and your message and your identity and how you are portrayed online. So yeah, that's kind of my advice to do your homework when it comes to marketing agencies.
Okay, thanks for that, Mick. A lot of good stuff there. I didn't realise you were the fifth M of marketing, but you learn every day. I remember there used to be 4 Ps of marketing. Then I think it was 7 Ps, and I think I saw an article the other day where it's 9 Ps of marketing. So that seems to be going up. So tell me about buying castles, then, Mick.
that is my life goal. I'm kind of invested in kind of medieval, ancient history. And I don't know why I've always had this fascination with castles, and I love visiting castles. And yeah, it's become a goal of mine. That's my kind of ultimate goal, to buy a castle, and create kind of. So thanks to actually the business community. I met one of our members, introduced me to someone who actually shares the same vision, and we've kind of started working together, mapping out how we want castle community to look like, and we're thinking of kind of like a hub. We visited, it's currently a little bit out of our price range, but we visited this £10 million estate, and the stables, or what were the stables, were absolutely perfect to create like this busy hub, with like you can have little kind of independent units, and that's the idea, to kind of create, obviously have events, and it'd be a place of interest, for gatherings, meeting up, socializing, eating, dining, drinking, have a few events, but also have it as a place. I think it will be phenomenal in years to come, when a business gives their business address and say, oh yeah, we're at the castle, come visit us at the castle. So that's essentially the plan. So yeah, if anyone is interested and thinks they want to be part of the castle ownership plan, then do message me, and yeah, the wheels are in motion to make it a reality. So yes,
excellent. Good luck with that. Good luck. So one final question, then your ordeal will be over. So if, given your business experience as a small business owner and being part of a small business now, if you were to give one top tip for any business owner out there, what would that top tip be?
Gosh, I would highly recommend. This sounds like quite a mundane one, but definitely reading. That's the first thing that springs to mind. Pick up, but in fact, it's on my desk now. I'm currently reading 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which hopefully will make me more effective. So yeah, it's that there is so much wisdom in and people that have kind of been in situations that you perhaps find yourself in, and you think, oh gosh, no one's ever experienced this. But actually, if you read a few good business books, books about sales, about business formation processes, there's just so much out there. Marketing books as well. You learn so much, and every time I read, like, kind of pulled up, and kind of it kind of puts me in better stead for the next challenges or the next opportunities to kind of really capitalize on them. So yeah, I would highly recommend making the time to read and learn more. Every day is a school day. So I think yes, learning is crucial. And
yeah, I was a bit of a heathen when it came to business books, and I started a business club pre-lockdown, and which sort of, I guess, forced me to read at least one book a month, because obviously if we're reviewing it and I'm leading the group, I need to have read the book. And now I'm part of Mari Richardson's book club. So she picks a book each week, and they're generally sort of like leadership development on the whole. And that's quite useful, because again, it forces me within a month to read at least one business book. And then what's quite interesting then is the discussion that unfolds from that, whether people liked it, what they took from it, what they didn't take from it, and if there's anything they're going to implement from it. So yeah, no, I endorse that. I think there are things that you can pick up from most books that I've read. There'll be something that is a takeaway for me. So no, thank you for that. So that's it. Thank you very much for your time today, Mik. So yeah, just thanks for sharing your business journey and some great tips with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Paul. And finally, one last thing that as another business tip is if you're watching this and you're not a member of the business community, then I highly recommend that you do join, because there are just incredible people. So yeah, I think has done a phenomenal job in kind of gathering business minds and great individuals together. So yeah, there's plenty of events all around the regions. So there's something in there for everyone to kind of join and meet wonderful business people. So highly recommend it.
Thanks for that, Mik. The check's in the post.